What's going on, everyone? Gilman with the Wellthy Stocks, back with our daily Apple update video where we take a look at how Apple stock traded today, some key support and resistance levels that we are looking at moving into the future, and based on that, what we think Apple stock could do. So real quick, if you enjoy videos like this, hit that like button down below, subscribe to my channel if you are new, and comment down below what your thoughts on Apple are, and I'd love to chat with you guys down in the comment section. So let me hit record and we will get right into it. So first things first, we are up 24 cents on the day, so not huge in terms of kind of the green action, right? But we're up another $1 after hours, so more action in the after hours than we saw all day today. But, you know, we did get some key levels of support identified. Our line from yesterday held up really nicely, so that's good. We'll cover that. But first I want to cover a couple other things related to earnings. So I know a lot of us have been talking about, you know, the expectations that we have around Apple's earnings, and we're expecting a monster quarter, 100 billion plus. And that's why I want to take a look at, this article here. So they're expected to report a record $106 billion in revenue in the final quarter of 2020. According to Bank of America, they're talking about the Mac sales reaching 7 million, services growing by 18%. This $106 billion number is an increase from the previous number that they had of $102 billion, right? And they're lifting the EPS, right, the earnings per share, to $1.43 from the previous $1.36. So all of that to say, Bank of America now thinks that Apple is going to do a little bit better than what they had anticipated, right? For the quarter ending March 2021, right, previously, this is just some other stuff that they do. And the other thing that we covered already, but want to kind of reiterate that, is they raised their price target from 135 to 150, still maintaining a neutral rating though, right? So it's at 143 and their price target is 150. The other thing that I want to talk about is, what was the other thing? Yeah, so 100 billion club as soon as earnings are released. That number is crazy, right? But before we kind of get into the stock, I want to cover that for just a second, right? So I know a lot of us have been expecting this monster earnings quarter, but does that necessarily have to translate into Apple stock going up? Not necessarily, right? And this is coming from someone who's been and continues to be really bullish on Apple. I continue to hold my shares. Like I said, probably always will. But what we have to understand is earnings and how the stock reacts to it has more to do with how the company did relative to what analysts were expecting. If you remember last quarter, Apple beat earnings, right? But the stock still went down. Now, part of that reason is because for the past 3 quarters, I believe it's 3, Apple has not provided guidance. Guidance is a key part for us to kind of get an understanding of what the stock is going to do in the future, right? So if Apple were to come out and say, hey, we had a monster quarter, but we're not going to tell you what we have kind of in store or what we plan on doing the rest of the year, right? A lot of that was due to the coronavirus pandemic. I get it. That made the stock price go down, right? So if all that to say, if we say something along the lines of, hey, if Apple comes and says, yeah, we had this monster 106 billion quarter, here's what we expect for the rest of 2021. And that right there, if that is bullish, we could see Apple stock pushing up from where it is today. But if Apple simply reports earnings, they are this 100 billion number. The earnings per share is the high number. We do get a monster quarter from Mac sales, from Apple iPhone sales, from services, right? Even though we have that, the stock could still fall because that's what everyone was expecting. And theoretically speaking, that's already priced in. That's just a little bit of news. That's not me saying Apple is going to crash tomorrow, right? Or fall the day after earnings. That's me saying, they can have the best quarter they've ever had and the stock could still fall because a lot of it has to do more with expectations versus reality. That's one. And 2, what guidance are they giving? Which this earnings is supposed to be the kind of the first time after 3 quarters that they are going to provide guidance. And, knowing Apple, they're probably planning for something big, right? So if we do see something big, then it continues to go up. Now to the stock part of the video. I just wanted to really quickly cover that. I know a lot of us are wondering, do we hold, do we not, so I wanted to quickly cover that. Now, if you take a look yesterday and where we closed, right? Let me get rid of this. We closed kind of here in the 143s, high 142, 143. the level of support that we had that was at 141.92. So if we open today, right, we open at 144s, we go right down, right, which is something that we're used to seeing, so nothing too shabby there. Now, if you saw my video yesterday, you know exactly the level we were looking at, and that was this 141.92 level, right? Held up perfectly pretty much, right? We went to 141 like 30s or 40s, so only up by 40 cents. Went to VWAP, got rejected, came right back down to this level. Bounced, came up, bounced, came up, kind of bounced, and then pushed up, right? And then again, came below, bounce, push, and then bounce, and then finally, right, Apple got some life, pushed up, made it above VWAP, and then now in the after hours, it's actually doing pretty well, better than it had the whole day. So all that to say, overall, pretty boring day, as you can see, but what we have now is a pretty good level of support, right? That 141.92 is a level that we had yesterday, but now we've got validation of that level. And if you were someone who, you know, watched my video yesterday, you knew of this level we were watching out for as well. So, you know, really happy that that worked out for us. Now let's take a look at the daily chart and we'll see what we see. If I zoom in just here, what we see is, you know, we had a pretty small candle, pretty normal looking candle rather than the giant one we had yesterday with the massive fall, which is good. What do we have coming in terms of support and resistance, right? So on the upside, we're at 144.30. Realistically, the next level that we have is the high from yesterday, which is 145.09. After this 145.09, we've got, you know, if we can stay above 145, 150 is the next level to push for. Now, I understand that earnings are tomorrow after closing. So for me, tomorrow would kind of be the last day that I would take, you know, an options play that I would also look to get out of before that earnings call. Not because I don't believe in Apple, not because I think Apple's going to crash, but because I don't want to be caught in the IV crush that happens in options during earnings. And I also don't want to be, you know, caught on the wrong side of things. It would take a decent move in Apple through earnings for me to, you know, kind of justify holding, which we saw with Netflix, right? So if you're, you know, if you think Apple's going to have something similar to Netflix, feel free to hold. I'm just simply sharing what I'm doing. So again, on the upside, we've got 145 and then 150, 150 up here, right? That would be the next level to push for. On the downside, we've got this 141.92 level that held up really nicely today. And then we've got kind of the 140 level here as a little bit of a mental resistance. And then we've got this 138.43. So those are kind of the levels that I'm watching. And if we keep falling after that, we've got the 136.97 and the 8 EMA as another level of good support. So again, on the downside, just to kind of recap, 141.92, 140 kind of right here as a little bit of a mental support. Let me just draw that line for us because why not? We'll draw a line right at 140 pretty much, which is kind of where we got rejected twice as well. And then we've got the 138.43 before the 8 EMA comes in at 136.40 or 136.97. Again, tomorrow is the last day before earnings. I definitely think that if we can knock out that 145 level, then I think it could make a push towards 150. Whether or not it gets there really depends on momentum. I would like to see it get there. Regarding my open positions, I have one vertical put spread that I'm planning on keeping during earnings because it's so far out of the money that I'm not too worried unless we go to like 120s again. I'm not worried about it. And then I continue to hold my Apple shares, and then everything else that I'm doing right now is intraday. So yeah, today I picked some up at the 141.92 and then sold it right before we got to VWAP, which wasn't a huge move, but it was better than nothing. Again, because I don't want to hold and get the IV. Now I could be kicking myself, you know, 2 days from now because Apple might gap up huge like Netflix and keep running, but I have shares, so you know I'm not totally missing out on the action. So that's what I'm doing with Apple. Let me know what you guys think. I think tomorrow we could see a push. As you can see, right, we're hitting pretty close to this 145. So if we can either gap up a little or, you know, make a push towards that, knock that out, then 150 could be next. But we've also identified some levels of support to look out for in case we see a little bit of a sell-off. Really excited for earnings tomorrow. I think it's going to be a big one for Apple tomorrow. We'll obviously, you know, take a look at that together. I'll make a video on that and we'll kind of see what Apple stock does during that point. If you enjoy videos like this, don't forget to like and subscribe down below and comment what your trade plan with Apple is. And I'd love to chat with you guys down there. Let's remember to be a bit better every single day. And until next time.